Hello, guys. Good morning. I'm back. Like I promised, I think I've been planning to make this video for quite some time because I see since I'm working in the industry right now, and I feel that some of you really need to know these points and understand how things work in terms of expectations when you're training or teaching online. Okay. So a couple of things before we can actually get there. I come with an experience of around 10 years in this industry. I've trained trainers and team leaders and managers. I started, of course, from the very basic executive profile myself. I started training for them eventually. Then I grew up, given the chance at the time, I did upscale a lot. Then I went into business, and now I'm back in the job. So I think this is kind of a great opportunity for me to really share with you what I've learned over a period of time, and I think it might actually help you. So I'm going to specifically target some special points that you would need to consider when you are delivering an online class to a young kid. Okay, so these are the basic things. So I've actually categorized that into a couple of points. We would start with training etiquettes. Okay, the basics first. Okay, then we would probably move into the one-on-one etiquette when you train someone one-on-one. Okay, let it be with you, in front of you or on the online platform. The third is the online training etiquettes. Okay, the third part of it. And the fourth is the age specific training things that you need to have, the etiquettes. All right, so I think training etiquette wise, so yeah, just before you can start right now, you just take a book. Okay, make a note of it. Take four different pages. You can name them accordingly. Page one would be the training etiquettes. A second page would be the one-on-one training etiquettes. Third would be the online training etiquettes, and the fourth and the last, probably the most important one that I'm actually deriving to, is the age specific etiquettes. When we are targeting, when our target audience are young kids. Okay, so let's start with the basics. I think the very first the very first point that a trainer need to have is the energy. And if you're kind of low there, it's not going to work. A teacher or a trainer, definitely, if you understand, would have that zeal, right? I think that's something that you would need to reflect from the time that you start the conversation till the time you end. So obviously there are different ways of doing that, but you need to figure out what's the best way that suits your profile and your requirement as such. But then basic point is that yes, energy needs to be very clear, very sharp, not too high and not too low, but right there. That can actually drive a better learning experience for the in the session. Okay, so that's the very first one. Second one is communication. If you're presenting yourself on an international platform, you would need to at least be on a very neutral platform in terms of your language. That is, I would again further bifurcate them into two more points. That's mother tongue influence. Okay, somewhere down the line we would definitely sound like Indians no matter what. Okay, but at least imagine this: a person who is abroad should be able to understand you. Okay, so they shouldn't struggle with further dividing your Indian accent to which part of India you are, and that becomes too much tedious internally, so people wouldn't even understand what you're saying because they don't want to put that extra effort, right? So you need to ensure that your mother tongue influence is at the minimal. That's point number one. Okay, point number two when it comes to communication is the grammatical sense that you make. Few errors, absolutely few errors are, it happens to everyone. People from India, the UK, the US, Australia, that's natural. But then in general, you need to have that grammatical sense when you present yourself on an international platform because your target audience are that, and that's what you would need to, you would need to be considering. Okay, I think the third point there is you need to set the expectations when you start the session. Okay, ensure that you start the session, you set expectations that as to what the session plan is ahead. Okay, and just give them an absolute brief of it. Okay, that this is what you have planned, and by the end of the class today you would be achieving this. Okay, so what you're planning to do is a basic of the activities that you have planned, the main important points. Set that map clear, check for the understanding, and then proceed. Okay, so that's the third point. You need to set the right expectation at the beginning, okay, to ensure that the entire learning process goes smooth. Um, I think the fourth and most important point here is the beginning and the end. Because everyone remembers the session, the as to how the session started and as to how the session ended. Okay, so these are the couple of points that you would need to remember. To be energetic and to be absolute best, especially at the beginning and the end, because that's the only things that the people ahead would remember. So if you want your sessions to have a lasting effect on in their heads, you would need to ensure that the beginning and the end is absolutely perfectly practiced, and you know what you're talking about word to word. You have structured that clearly, you have chosen the words in your mind, and you're ready to deliver it the way that you want to. Okay, that's being the best. Okay, so I think that's the fourth point. I think the fifth point and the last point here would be, you need to actually use the person's name, right? So this is more like a one-on-one thing. Okay, but even if I'm in a classroom of 5 6 people or 10 20 people, when I'm addressing someone, I can use their name. That's going to leave a lasting memory of the conversation. So if you're on an online platform, that's absolutely important. Okay, you would need to use the name so that they feel valued and special. All right, so this is couple of basic training things that you would need to follow to create an impression on the sessions that you have just delivered. All right. Second, let's come to the one-on-one etiquette. I think that last point would rather be here, wherein you can start using the name over the conversation once every 4 or 5 sentences. So tell me, Sabrish, what about that, and what about this, Sabrish? So that's how you're going to go about that, right? Good. So just keep that in mind. Second most important point in one-on-one training etiquette, so I'm talking about the second page. Okay, one-on-one training etiquette, the first point we have of course borrowed it from the training etiquette as such, wherein you would need to use the name couple of times, as many times as possible, that sounds clear. Barring that, the second point is a simple deal is this. Okay, you are not delivering in a class. This is the point wherein you are delivering a session one-on-one. You would definitely need to create that personalization by making it a conversation. It's a two-way conversation that's going to make it work. Okay, if you are going to do a telltale session, that's definitely not going to work. Okay, so that's one thing that I would recommend, that you follow a 60-40 strategy. If you are the teacher, you are expected to talk only 40% and you would drive the conversation. The student is expected to speak up to 60%, wherein he would be reflecting what you said. So how would you drive this? Couple of ways. I say two methods. Either you ask him to repeat what you just said. Okay, you've just given an instruction or you have explained something. Ask him to repeat that in his own words. Okay, or if you want to get something out of him, okay, then ask him open-ended question instead of close-ended questions. If you don't know what that is, Google it. It's kind of basic and simple, and it's very easy to understand. Open-ended questions are questions which entice shorter answers. Close-ended questions are questions. Sorry, exactly opposite. Open-ended questions are questions which entice lot of answers, which is more of an opinion. Close-ended questions are questions which entice shorter answers, which is more targeting towards the facts. Okay, so you need to ask opinions of the people, so that they talk, they they express to you what they think and feel about it. Okay, so that's definitely one thing. So the third point here is yeah, and one more type of questioning also you can ask leading questions. Okay, like if you want to get them to a point of answering something, you ask questions so that they get the answer, and that answer might be the clue point of your next session. So that is definitely something that you would need. Okay, so ensure that you would definitely plan your questioning in such a way that the entire conversation is more conversative than a more telltale session. Okay, that's one thing. And I think hand gestures is something which people notice a lot in training as such. So hand gestures is something that you would definitely need to work on. Just don't sit down straight and all that. Keep a ensure that you use your hands. It's an absolute awesome thing to do. So that's one thing. Okay. The next point I think I would say is. Right. Okay. Let's quickly move to the third page. Okay, which is an online training etiquette. So over here, What I'm trying to say is, if you're presenting yourself online instead of a classroom, ensure that you are in the right lighting. Okay, you have put on the fan or the AC, because I'm sweating like a dog right now because my fan makes this sound, and it's absolutely, it's gonna, spoil the video. So I'm gonna take this pain to to just keep the fan off, but ensure that these things are taken care of when you're in a session. Okay, the background is good, the lighting is good. Literally I can show this. See, that's the actual lighting of the room. But I had to install the bulb right over here to ensure that there is light in my face when I sit on a session. Okay. As far as your attire and everything, it should be formal. Okay. Business casuals are still okay, but try to keep it as formal as possible, because you're presenting yourself somewhere where the people are going to notice all these things. Okay, and especially if you are in a position of a trainer or a teacher, they would expect those things from you by default. All right, so ensure that you have got your hair all gelled up or tied up behind. If you're a women, your nails cut, and sorry, that's my bad. So those things, ensure that you are generally presentable on a, yeah, on a formal platform. Even the background matters, the place you sit, and don't keep the laptop on your legs, or don't make it look like you're sitting in a couch. Okay, try to get a setup wherein you've got a proper table, chair, and a laptop in front of you with a clean background, and good decent appearance, not like mine, better than me, of course. So all right, so that's the first one when it comes to online training etiquettes. Okay, so online wise, there is another also, one more factor that you would need to definitely consider. Point number two, you need to ensure that the frame that you use, the application that you use, everything about it inside out. Okay, you need to know everything inside out about the panel that you're in. Google Meet. Okay, you need to know where to use the chat box, you need to know where to present your screen, you need to go how to go on full screen. Okay, so that the person ahead might not be as acquainted as you are with the interface, but then you need to be the best of it. Every single option that's there in the page, you need to know what it does. So in the event of some problem, you need to know how to troubleshoot that problem. Like Control Shift R, that's going to refresh the page. It's going to put all the default values or whatever, and it's going to refresh the page. So these are a couple of things that you would need to know. Ensure that the panel that you are on, you navigate it the best, and you are able to guide the same to the student if the need be. Okay, so that is something that you would need to be a king of. All right, by the time you hit the panel, the platform that you are working on. All right, so that's the point number two when it comes to online training etiquettes. Okay. In online, I think the introduction part plays a very important role, because it kind of defines what you are as a teacher or a trainer. So kindly remember, when you are presenting yourself, the warm-up part needs to be absolutely beautiful. Okay, that's one thing which definitely I've seen making a lot of difference. The first 10 minutes of the conversation, that must be yours. Okay, so ensure that whenever you are presenting yourself online, you have that script ready for the first 10 minutes. You know exactly what you need to say, you need to calculate exactly what the response could be, and you definitely need to put in the extra effort. When you start a session, the warm-up needs to be perfect. So plan that up very well, executed. I think this specifically goes here in this point, because online training etiquettes, they make a big difference when you follow this. Cool. Coming to the fourth major part, the fourth page of it, age specific etiquettes. This is especially for those whose target audience are children, and how to behave around them, how to talk with them. Okay, I think the very very first thing that you would need to understand is, if their age is between 8, 9, 10, especially the children right now who are triggered into the online classes because of the COVID situations. If you are a teacher in the school, if you are on a in a private tutoring institution, whatever might be the reason. Okay, if you are presenting yourself online to a group of children between the age group of 8 to 12, 13, 14, anything beyond that is adults, so leave that behind. Kids between 8, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, just remember these things. It's definitely going to help you. All right, point number one, I think the most important one uh, is to change the default way you talk to a student in a class. Okay, I think you need to be super smooth here. Okay, you can show a little bit of aggression, or that's how the Indian system has been built so far. They say we need to scold the children, or reprimand them for something that they don't do, but that's something definitely not going to work here. I've seen that happening. The same teacher with the same student, the connect is going to be absolutely different when it comes to the online platform. The student is going to go away, and he wouldn't give a damn about what she or he is talking after that. So ensure that when you're training or teaching online, be super smooth with them. It's going to take some time to get that patience in you, but I think patience is a very important behavior that you would need to represent either ways, right? So ensure that you are super patient with the kid. Have the class control if there are multiple people there, but if just one person, be super nice and ask him positive questions and don't trigger negative responses, or don't trigger a question based on a bit of negativity. All right, so just try to be positive, don't be rude at all. It's not going to land well on an online platform. Okay, be super smooth. I think that's the very very first point. Second point, I think the most important one is avoid any technical terms. Use simplicity to destroy complexity. You've got a complex topic, use simple words to explain that to them. I think that's going to work very well. Third point, when you're especially dealing with children, use real-time examples instead of just showing them what it is and what you're here to teach. Try to relate that to something from their life. Okay, like you've got the interface, you can probably compare that interface to their workspace, to their notebooks and pen, how things would compare there. So you need to be creative enough there to create examples and make a note of it based on your session plan prior, so that you can deliver when you come there, you can deliver it exactly the way you planned it. I have literally, when I train, I have literally made note of certain jokes at certain points of time during a session, so that I know that this is the time when probably the mood is not up to the mark, or something dark humor to get their attention, things like that. So I plan it well and I try to deliver it based on my plan. So usually it lands that way, but if it doesn't, we have to work with what we have, right? So yeah, that's it's as simple as that. You need to plan it quite well. Use real-time examples to get the kids' attention. Okay. I think the fourth point, I'm sorry, is to understand the psychology. Now it's proved that the children online don't have a attention span of more than 20-25 minutes as of now. So maybe years of such things can help them increase that thing. But then as of now, they're just starting to, and the first 20 minutes of the session is all what you have in your hand to be the best. So you make the best utility of that. It's going to really do wonders for you. Okay, so that's my fourth point. Fifth point, again gonna mention hand gestures. Something so small might make such a big difference. Hand gestures, right? That's absolutely important. Don't be rigid. That's never allowed any which ways when you're training or when you're teaching. Okay, try to be more comfortable, flexible. Just talk to the kid like they are, like you are right there in front of them. Okay, try to keep a neutral pose when you are listening to them, and move your hands accordingly. There are a lot of training videos online which you can refer to when as to what hand gesture would suit your body type and shoulder movement the best. So just do research on that and work on it, but hand gestures are absolutely important. I think the next point, sixth point, is props. Props are things which you can show on the screen, usually targeting the younger children to get their attention, to make them understand better. Use any kind of a prop that you have around you. I mean, or you the props based on your session plan. Usually, if there is a session that you have planned yourself, create props to show them on the screen. Props are just general items. If I am talking about what do I have around me, I've got a fishing reel, I've got a Swiss knife, fine, I've got a lure in front of me. So a Swiss knife is like a prop, right? I can compare this with a student's pencil box, which has a pen, which has a pencil, which has an eraser, and multiple things together assorted into a pencil box. If my topic was a pencil box, I would rather show something like this, so that the student understands. Or if there are some kind of specific diagrams that you can show, you can draw it, keep it ready, and show them the diagram, and then proceed with the session. They would be excited, they would be involved, and they'd be engaged. That's exactly something that would make a difference, and I would say 100% that's important. Okay, don't leave it behind. If you are discussing, I mean, if you are going to address students in that age bracket, ensure that you are using at least one or two props in a session. That's going to help them keep their attention there. All right, so that's one point. I think the next point there would be, usually younger children's classes are accompanied by the parents. Okay, they might not be there through and through, but the initial classes they would be. They would see how their child is being treated. They have not given the opportunity till then because schools and all, they don't know what exactly happens in the classroom, right? They just go by the reputation of the school and they take that leap of faith. But over here online, they definitely have the chance. So they sit around, they see around. So ensure that you interact with the parents, and the interaction needs to be flawless. Okay, first thing first, check with them, how do you want me to address you? Some of them like being called sir or ma'am, or some of them like just use my name. And take that lead, talk to them, use their name, Mr. Sharma, or whatever, right? And that's definitely how you start the conversation. Then over a period of time, you speak with them, tell them that what you're planning in the session, and how you think that would help their child. Proceed to that point, give them a brief about what you're going to do, just on a mature level. Okay, and definitely one thing that's going to work is when you compliment the child to the parent. So don't do it at the beginning because you haven't quite interacted with the kid yet. But if you're doing it at the end, ensure that you compliment the kid in front of the parent. That's going to bring the parent some positive vibes about you, and that connection would last way longer and way more positive, towards the mutual good. So that's one thing that you would definitely need to keep in mind. All right. So compliment, like talk about the key interests, and how the kid might be doing good and things like that, right? You kind of get the point, I suppose, right? So do that one. That's definitely good. All right. I think the next most important point is a place wherein you would need to understand the kid's profile before you proceed ahead. Okay, understand him better. Ask him questions. What are your interests? Make a note of that in the side. Later, you can bring back those points during the session so that he you get his attention. It's kind of critical when you deal with kids, 8-year-old, 9-year-old. They're already searching for answers everywhere within their head. Their questions through and through. They might be playing a game, but they might be thinking something else, right? So you need to get their attention and get the hook. The second they get themselves involved in what you're teaching, then they wouldn't let you go. All right, they would stick on to you like an Alabama tick. Google that. It's a reference from pop culture reference from the movie Predator. Anyway, so that's one thing. Okay, I think the next most important point is to keep the way you speak very simple. Use shorter sentences and not longer sentences. Every time a sentence is over, give it a pause. I did not pause. The video did not pause. I paused. That got your attention, right? So when you pause, people listen. When you speak, people listen. When you pause and speak, you get time to breathe. People listen. You get time to think. You are conveying your message in a very easy way because you are using shorter sentences. That's your next point. I think that's about it. These are a couple of points that you would want to consider while you're teaching or training in any platform. So I hope this video would have got the best out of you. I think the last and just the only point that I would need to point out here is time management. I think time is the only permanent enemy that we have. So we need to go with it. We need to dance with the devil, like they say. Ensure that the time that you have, you plan the time and you execute everything based on that time. All right. So I really hope these points would I'm sure that these points would change the way you've been taking a session, and trust me, this changes for the good. You would do absolutely well. And if you got anything, just put it on the put it on the comment below, and I'll see if I can reply to that, and I'll be happy to do that. All right. I'll see if I can get a couple of more videos coming in for you. But all the best for you. The times are difficult. The COVID times are actually here. So I wish you safety, good health for you and your family. You take care of yourself, and all the best. Okay, gotta go. Take care. Bye bye.